Hi, welcome to the Shelley Studio. Today I am working on my project for the PM Artist Studio Makers Creative Collab hop that happened already. So if you're watching this video, the hop already happened. I did a flip through of this. The making of it is kind of long. It's going to be in two parts because that's the capacity of my iPad, which is where I edit. So I will link my video in the description box below so that you can watch that if you're interested. This is going to be a lot of collaging, just to warn you ahead of time. So that packaging you saw in the beginning, it held a beach towel. And there was one little section on there that said happiness comes in waves. So since the theme for the hop was See Me, SEA, so See Me, Ya See, I decided I would create some waves. And I had seen an accordion style book. Well, I think it's a Tim Holtz has a little teeny accordion style thing that has different levels. So I decided I wanted to create different kinds of waves, and so, but it has to fit my big packaging, right? So this is going to be a big, tall accordion style, but it only has like, I think there might be 4 or 5 flips altogether. So I'm maximizing the watercolor paper that I'm using here and linking them together wherever they end up. So some end up kind of in their ways and some on the edges. But they're all going to be copied over with gel prints. So hopefully the creases will be minimal. There is one that I think is pretty noticeable because the paper I put over the top of it was a little thin. But I did start out with a thin strip at the beginning. I was going to glue it onto the towel packaging material. I decided rather just to use it like a belly band type closure instead, so that does eventually get cut off. But yeah, I'm just gluing them all together. So I've got my accordion. You saw me score them. I scored them before I folded them, so I could have nice straight lines, hopefully. And I decided, I had just watched somebody do some small watercolors of some beach type scenes, and they had like these really skinny fences. So I decided to put a picket fence for that small flap that's in the front, and just freehanding drawing, so it's not like perfect. But I also wanted it to look like it was maybe falling apart a little bit, and like it had been patched and fell off or something. Anyway, so that's why the drawing looks like it does. So I'm just cutting that excess off, and that's going to be the first piece, is that. And now I'm creating some waves. At the time I was making this, I did look up different types of waves so that I could have a couple of different patterns to use. And now I'm looking back trying to find what I had found before. And, you know, if you don't save it. But the first one, I think it was like a rolling wave. And then the second one was, I thought it was called a thrusting wave, but I think it's a surging wave. Little bit different than, that's just calm waters. I decided I needed an extra layer, so that one is calm waters, that straightish line. And then, of course, I wanted to do the curling wave that, you know, everybody likes to surf on. So there's my curling wave there. And I do round some edges, trying to make, just so that it flows from one page to the next a little bit better. Alright, so I got that all cut out, and now I'm going to watercolor my fence. Decided it would be easier to color it before I cut it out. And then once I cut it out, I will color the backside too. I think I leave it while I'm gluing the rest, just so that it doesn't get damaged. And all the flipping and gluing and stuff. I'm hoping that I can keep it clean. I had actually, while I was watercoloring, I was thinking I might wrap it up in something to keep it from getting glue or stuff on it, but I didn't end up doing that. I'm just adding a little bit of blue, some Payne's gray, just to make them like gray, like old gray fences where the paint is gone. But they've been bleached out in the sun for long enough that they're just gray, I guess, or white. And putting little dots where the nails would be. And the one that's tipped at an angle, that's supposed to look like worn out. So I think I add to that, I add a little bit of like a quinacridone color to make it look a little rusty where the nails are in the board that's just laying there on its sideways. It was really awkward to work with this large accordion and to rotate it around so I could get the dark edges on the dark side and like try not to dip that into anything. In fact, when I do the gel printing, it gets pretty awkward, I think. Because I've got this big long thing and a small table. If any of you have been watching me for a while, you know it's a really small space that I'm working in. I felt I needed a little bit more definition, so I'm just, taking a little bit of a dark line around some of it. Just along that edge. All right. So I also decided, since it was here, I would watercolor blue in between each section so that there wouldn't be a stark white space when I glue down my papers. So the first layers I'm going to do are the sand and the ground. And I'm just taking gel prints that I have made, and some of them are scraps, like this one in particular is a scrap piece. I'm going to take it and another piece and combine them, and that's going to be the sand. My first page, I kind of want it to be like mostly beach, and then a little bit of the rolling wave at the top. And I don't live by the ocean. There's some lakes here. I live near Utah Lake and the Great Salt Lake. The Great Salt Lake's kind of big, but it's still definitely not an ocean. I did, just before I started this project, I had just gotten back from a trip to Whidbey Island for a family reunion. That was a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time at the beaches. If any of you have ever been up there, my aunt lives on the harbor, Holmes Harbor, so she has beachfront property. I think we spent 2 of our days there, and the kids, she lives up on a bluff, so it's quite a hike down to the beach, but they spent their 2 days running up and down that beach. And then we went to Rosario Beach, which is another one that's part of is it a state park? I think it's a state park. And then we went to Cranberry Lake, more water. And right next to Cranberry Lake is the ocean, the Sound, Puget Sound. And then we also did Double Bluff, another beach. That one's a nice sandy beach. It's got a lot of beach. And then we went over to Port Townsend from the ferry, so lots of water. So I got my my ocean in for the year, I guess. I know people would argue with me. That's not ocean, it's the Sound. But you know what I mean. I got some beaches and some water in. Swimming. Saw lots of jellyfish. And it was a family reunion, so there was 59 of us all together. That's a lot of people. Each family group usually rents a house, like through Verbo or something, and then we get together. But yeah, a couple of them went salmon fishing, caught a couple of salmon, and yeah, my brother went fishing just in the harbor and caught is it a flounder or a solefish? Those flat fish with the eyeballs on one side. That was fun. But yeah, so we had a good time. It was fun to see all the family. Most of us live not too far from each other, but you don't get together. So my aunt has a place up there, and it's just a fun place to get together. We do it every couple of years. Can't afford to do it every year. Renting a house is kind of pricey. So there, I've got the ground all on that side, and I did let that dry before I start on this side. And I decided I would, on that other side I had them all different, and I did it as I went. This time I decided they were all going to be the ocean floor, so they're all going to be shorter. So I can fit more creatures or whatever I end up putting inside. If you haven't watched the flip through, I'd have more space for them. For all the creatures. So this side goes a little bit quicker. And I am using Liquitex Matte Medium. It is my favorite, and I found it on clearance. So, I know this is the smallest bottle I bought. I bought 2 larger bottles that were on clearance. So I'm stocked up for a good while on the matte medium. It is a little bit harder to get really flat collaging when you're using the matte medium. If you use a gel, it usually stays a little flatter. This one has a lot more moisture in it. But really, it does dry pretty flat in the end. But I'm always wondering, and you see me rubbing my fingers. If I see a little bubble or something I think might wrinkle, I usually rub my fingers along it and try and smush it down. But I think it worked pretty well. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? These gel prints, I thought it would be a fun game for myself to try and figure out which printing session these were from. So if you're seeing iCards at the top every once in a while, I found the video. So if you're interested in watching gel printing sessions, that's what those are. Yeah, it's a game I'm playing with myself to figure out where each of these, because my very first video on YouTube was gel printing. I don't think any of these are from the first printing. I do have some prints. Oh, no, I don't think that. On the advertisement that's going to be the closure for this, I do put a gel print on there that I've had for a long time. I don't think it's my first session. That would be funny if it was. But if you like watching gel printing sessions, I will have, those will be in the iCards. If I find any, I'll put them up there. I've never really done the iCard thing, so it will be a learning thing. I know where to find the instructions, just never done it before. So these particular gel prints, the spiral is a homemade stamp I made. I wore it out. I need to make me a new one because I really like that pattern. I still have it. It's just not, it's hard to use. Yeah, I just went through, I have a huge stack of gel prints and I need to use them. And apparently that one, notice the color of the matte medium. Apparently that has something besides just acrylic paint on it, because it was bleeding a color, a little blue tint. And that half circle one, you saw it was a little wrinkly. I think it goes pretty flat. That's actually a coffee filter. I gel printed on a coffee filter. That video I think I can find easy. Maybe. This blue one, this one is really new, and this one is masks. I think they're called nested circles, maybe. That's a PM Artist Studio mask. See, that's where there's all those wrinkles. I pulled out the credit card. It does help to make things a little smoother. You can push a little harder. I was pushing with that. That's the thing that I'm applying the matte medium with is actually a makeup applicator. And I tend to push a little too hard. I think I pop off the applicator a few times while gluing this stuff on. I don't know if you see that. I wasn't watching myself the whole time here, so I don't know. This one is not a gel print. This was, I think it's rice paper, and I just dumped some sparkly acrylic inks on it. And yeah, I do get a little carried away in the applying the matte medium. But there's a fine line, because I am doing this on watercolor paper. It is super absorbent. And I'm scooping it and putting it back in. It's super absorbent, and if there's a dry spot when you place your paper down, you're going to end up with an air pocket. But if you put too much, then you just end up with excess matte medium everywhere, which is what I do, because I would prefer to have too much than too little. So yeah, see, that's where the top came off the applicator. I just stick it back on. Like I put a little glossy accents in there, wedged it in there, hoped it would dry. It did not, but it pops, like I said, it pops off a few times. I think maybe if I pinch the ferrule a little bit, it might hold it some more. But Some of these papers are kind of shiny, so they might be a little hard to see. This is another piece. So I'm doing the back side now. So I am reusing some of the papers I already used. And that's the one that was bleeding color, remember? And I do not remember what I used. I might have to watch that video if I find it, so I can remember what I used on it. Most of my papers, though, I use acrylic paint, so that, makes it pretty safe. Pull out the card, smooth out things. A few wrinkles, but in the end I don't think you really notice too much. And I did go ahead and I'm stopping the video in between each little section so that you're not watching me figure out the size and all that stuff. I get that figured out and then glue it on. There's another one of the coffee filters. I love my coffee filter gel prints. I think I did that for an anniversary video. I had to do a gel print video on the anniversary of my YouTube channel, so I did that one. But that's, like I said, it's been a while. It's getting close, I think. I think this is all I do on this particular video is finish up doing the water part of gluing on the gel prints. Part 2 will have, hopefully it doesn't have too much footage, it will show me cut out the fence and also add elements to each of the pages in my little accordion. Oh, and I've still got the packaging to do, so the closure. So that may be one video, it might be more. It will say in the description how many more episodes there are, because right now I don't know. This is another gel print that I really like. And I really like that stencil. And you can see I've used it repeatedly. I can't remember what it is. It's like overlapping circle sort of pattern. But it's just really sort of grungy and interesting, I think. I've tried making, like, scanning copies of some of my prints, but it just doesn't do them justice. It really doesn't. And you can see, and I don't notice till later, I think, that there's a little piece at the top of that wave that didn't get covered. I go back and just take a little piece of the same gel print, because I have excess on the side, and just collage over that. I don't know if that's included in the footage. I don't remember. And then this one was gel printing with plants, and that's actually a leaf, but I thought it would make a great seaweed. So I think that is the last one. I hope you liked it. If you're still here, thank you for watching. Have an awesome day.